And he takes the tractor another round.
Another round.
Another round.
And he takes the tractor another round.
He says, Lord, I never complain.
We were supposed to go another round. Crescendo. Golly.
We'll get it, dude.
Welcome to the pod.
We'll figure it out.
Welcome to the pod. Okay. All right, here's the deal. This is part 2 of our first 2-part sode.
Hold on. You just said we have a part 2?
Well, yeah, dude. Part 2.
Are we that big of a podcast now where we're making 2-part episodes?
That's how much content we have. We got to break it up into parts. This is part 2 right here. All right.
All right.
So where do we leave? No, we should do, on like the cartoons and sitcoms where they would like recap the previous episode. Oh.
Dustin?
Splint production?
Question mark? Maybe? You guys will find out.
That's a firm no.
He's
that's
shaking his head no. Maybe we can talk him into it.
Yikes. Well, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
All right.
So last where we left off, this is a how to sell your house episode.
We're going through. Yep. So you want to list you got to sell your house. So what does that look like? Okay.
Well, here, let's do a quick recap so we'll save Dustin some time. You're welcome. You've hired a realtor.
Boom.
You've done a market analysis to kind of figure out what your home is worth, and that range, so you can kind of pick where you want to list at. Eventually, you've determined the price. Okay, you've prepared your market you've prepared your house to go on the market. Yep. So you've done the 3 Ds. Tell us the 3 Ds:
deep clean, depersonalize, declutter, baby.
Amen. Amen.
Right. So we got some photographs taken. We've got your list of upgrades, all that stuff. We've got all of our marketing material prepared. So now it's time to go live.
Let's put that sucker on the market, dude.
We'll do it live. So we're live. All right. So typically,
really quick, by live, we mean your house is on the market. Other realtors can see it. It's on the MLS.
It's a fish.
So showings are going to start happening. People are going to want to get into your house.
100%. So we now have the sign is in the yard.
Yep.
We've got that blue lockbox in front of your house.
Skoden.
nothing left to do but just do the dang thing. So usually what I like to do when the house goes live, so it's now blasted out to the entire multiple listing service. So not only our clients and our database full of people, but every other agent that is a part of the Fargo-Moorhead or your area association of realtors gets notified. So it shows up as a brand new listing. And so I like to send that to you, the homeowner, right away, just to make sure that there's no discrepancies and that sort of stuff. Because if we goofed up and happen to put it's a 2.5 bath when it's a 3 bath, we want to catch that right away, as opposed to after like 3 weeks on the market. It's like, oh, yikes. So yeah, we put it out on the market, and then all of a sudden now
this first week is when we're seeing that you're going to get the most showings. That's when people are going to want to get into it the most. That's when, because people are getting that notification on Zillow, that notification on the MLS, all that stuff, that there's a new listing up. So
new sheriff in town.
The first week is when it's going to be busy.
Mm-hmm.
So
the way, and like the market's always, like the market's always changing, but the way the market has been, kind of what we've been telling people, kind of through the spring and summer would be like, get ready for like 2 really crummy days at your house. You know what I mean? Like just plan on not being home for 2 days, because that's how it's been. Like it's been such a seller's market up to this point, and things are changing. We'll get into that in another pod, but it has been so crazy that there's been so few homes for sale and so many buyers wanting to get out and buy that, like, as soon as that house hits the market, everybody gets notified, and it's like showing request. So what we've been telling people is like, hey, just plan on not being home for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like get the home totally ready for sale, get it clean, get it, and then it's a bummer. Like if you got kids, if you got pets, all that type of stuff, but just figure out the logistics of basically being gone for 2 days.
Yep.
And it's just has been just a revolving door of people getting in.
I feel like it's still kind of like that too. And another thing is an open house. I feel like we always try to do an open house that first weekend,
mm-hmm.
because again, that's when it's got the most interest. That's when we're going to get the most traffic in that open house. So
100%. 100%.
obviously we do more than one open house most of the time, but for sure want to do on that first weekend.
100%. So we go live, and that's kind of the way it's been. Then the showings open up, and then too, one thing that we pride ourselves on that not a lot of agents do is like we want to get that feedback for you right away, because it's kind of like an anxious time for you, the seller. It's kind of like imagine like speed dating or interviewing for a job. It's like, well, did somebody comes in your house and you like, well, did they like it? Do they want to write an offer? Do they have any questions? So we like to get that feedback and then get that to the seller right away. Because that's one thing that, again, like our whole thing is making sure our clients have a great experience, and if they're, that effective communication, because a lot of times that's when things might go sideways, or the client experience might go down. It's like, well, I don't know, kick me out of my house for 3 days and I don't know what's going on. But then, in the event that it doesn't sell in the first 2 days, then we always encourage at least one open house that first Sunday it's live. So say we go live on like a Wednesday or Thursday, we have that first open house Sunday. Because again, that's when your listing just has the most, like, it's got the most legs, it's got the most momentum, it's got the most kind of juice that first week. So if we can have an open house like that, that's got the greatest sense of urgency, right? So if we can have a bunch of people showing, and this is one thing that we had some pretty good luck doing, is like we'd put a house, have it go live Thursday, and we would just say, hey, we're doing an open house on Sunday, and we're going to review all of our offers Sunday evening. And that way it gives everybody plenty of time to get in and check it out. But that goes back into pricing, because it, like, having your house for sale, like, is not super fun. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Especially the more stuff you have, the more people in the house, the more kids you got, the more animals, like the logistics of getting kids out of there and stuff, keeping the house tidy, all that type of stuff. Because every once in a while, you'll get like a last minute showing request, like, hey, we happen to be in the neighborhood. Can we show your house in 10 minutes? Like that's not super fun all the time. But anyway, in a perfect world, we've got a price to, priced accordingly so that we got a bunch of interest. Because then too, like, the more interest that we have on it, the more we're in the driver's seat of the negotiation, right? Because again, that whole thing, well, we'll price it high and leave some room for negotiation. But like, you price it high and then it sits on the market and nobody shows up for 3 weeks or a month.
Yep.
And then when you finally get an offer, like, it's likely not going to be like, oh, I'll give you full price, or I'll give you close to full price.
And now that buyer kind of has the upper hand, where if you price it right, maybe you even get multiple offers.
Yeah. So
now then you can come back and say, hey, we've got an offer. You're gonna have to make yours better if you want a chance. So not only with price, but then too, like when it comes to home inspection, closing day, just you're more so in the driver's seat of the negotiation. But yeah, so now we're showing, we're having showings, we're getting feedback, we're hosting an open house, and then hopefully, the sooner the better we get an offer, if not multiple offers, and now it's time to review those offers with you. Really quick, do we want to talk about the 3 Ps of real estate? Or do we want to skip that?
Hey, hit the people with the 3 Ps. Give it to them.
Well, here's the deal. We got some people in here. Everybody's going to laugh out loud. It's going to mess with our audio. So just try and contain yourselves back there. Okay? Everyone buckle in for this, okay? So most agents, what they're going to do, okay, they're going to do what I call the 3 Ps of real estate.
Oh, boy.
The 3 Ps of real estate. I don't even think I could do it.
This is such a mistake. Such a mistake. Let's go.
They're gonna play.
Oh, dude. Are they?
I'm losing it.
Do you want to just say yes or no? Should I say it and then you say yes or no?
You got it. I'll pop off for you.
All right. So 3 Ps of real estate that like most agents do. So they'll put a sign in the yard. Okay. They'll put your house in the MLS, the multiple listing service.
Okay.
Look at this goon. And then they pray that somebody else comes along and sells it. Right? Okay. Pause for laughter. Pause for laughter. Pause for laughter. Okay.
I'm crying.
Well, you are crying. This is absurd. So our squad, we pride ourselves on doing the 4th and 5th P. So every day we're prospecting for buyers, right? So so that's a P, right? We're prospecting. We're proactively like making phone calls to people in our database, people that we've met at open houses.
Such a sucker for mnemonics, dude.
I know. So we're, instead of just sitting around waiting for something to happen, like we're making those calls. We'll go knocking on doors, whatever we find that we might have luck with getting more eyeballs on your house, right? And then we also price watch. So that's a fifth piece. So we're out checking the market daily. And then that way we can keep our clients, keep our sellers.
But like on a real note, prospecting is big, and I feel like it is something that our group does a lot differently. Like
100%. So
it's a lot of people think that when you sell your house, your realtor is just putting it on the MLS and putting a sign in the yard. That's it, which might be the case for some of them. I don't know, but I know we don't do that. We're actually, like, for example, going to door knock your whole neighborhood and say, hey, your neighbor wants to sell their house. Do you have any family members who want to live by you, or something like that?
Here's a chance to pick your neighbor.
So marketing and prospecting, we do both, but a lot of people think it's just marketing.
100%. And so according to the National Association of Realtors, and it changes, but approximately, so like, where do buyers come from? So they say about 40% of buyers come from like salesperson contact or like recognition, meaning like if you hire somebody like us that makes those calls every day, not only just us, but now there's a bunch of us. So you have a 40% higher chance of not only selling, but getting top dollar with us than as opposed to somebody that's not going to make those calls.
Right.
So that is a real thing.
Yep.
That's a very real thing. And that is something that we pride ourselves on. Cause you can control what you can control, and us like reaching out, pounding the pavement, trying to connect buyers and sellers is something that we can absolutely control. So yeah, we're out doing that. And then, so multiple.
Now that we got that absolute knee slapper out of the way,
I feel like,
hope if you're listening in your car, you didn't crash or anything because of laughter.
We should have told them to pull over.
Yeah,
dude. That's on us.
Anyways.
That's on us.
Okay, so now we got some offers.
We got multiple offers. That's the goal. So now it's time to negotiate terms. So typically what I like to do if we do have multiple offers is either meet up, ideally just like can meet in person. And you can do it over the phone too or whatever, but like I like to print off all the offers. And I like to highlight the key points so that we're definitely comparing apples to apples, right? Because this one might have a higher price, but lower earnest money and a different close date. And they might have try to sneak some different contingencies in there. So I like to have them, you know what I mean? Be as apples to apples so the client can make the best, make the
easy
best
to compare.
decision. 100%. So then usually, and that's assuming that we've got multiple offers. Okay. The other scenario would be like, we don't have multiple offers, and then we go to negotiate. So say they do try to beat us up on the price. Well, then we're negotiating terms. So the biggest one, like, of course, price, right? So say we're listed at 300, they come in at 290, or whatever. So we're negotiating that price. Some other stuff could be, what you want to do for close date. So the buyer might want to close as soon as possible, but you're building a house and you want to delay the closing. We could be talking like, you got a hot tub and you want to take that with you, or they want it to stay washer and dryer place at, like, negotiating all those sort of items. But then once we finally come to terms, we all sign off on the purchase agreement. Now we've got a fully executed purchase agreement. So it's happening. Okay. So then from there, that gets sent off to, typically we use Regency Title or a title company. That's going to do kind of all their behind the scenes stuff. We send it off to the buyer's lender so they can get working on what they got to do. And then that's when the clock starts ticking to get the home, appraised.
Yep.
To get the inspection and the home appraised.
So next step is normally the inspection. So the buyers are going to hire an inspector to come into the house and inspect your house.
Yep.
So they're looking for like major stuff that is wrong with, all the shingles need to be replaced, or if there's a big crack in the foundation, anything that's unsafe. That's the stuff that they're most likely going to be looking for and going to want to negotiate. But, let's say they ask for 5 things to be fixed. Again, it's just another negotiation where we can be like, we're willing to fix 3 of those 5 things. How about that?
Yeah. And it all depends.
Maybe it's getting, a couple bucks off the price, not a couple bucks, but some money off the purchase price to make it work. So
it could be any number of things, and it all depends. So like, it seems like it's a lot of times it's one or the other. So like if I'm a buyer and I beat you up on the price, You know what I mean? I'm likely not going to also be able to beat you up on the home inspection.
Right.
On the flip side, if I'm a buyer and I'm like, well, I gave you full asking or I gave you over asking, like least you could do is fix these couple things. So it all just kind of depends. But yeah, so the buyer is going to hire a home inspector and he or she is going to give the home like a really good once over to give the buyer the best idea of what it's going to be like to live in the home. So like up on the roof, up in the attic, checking the foundation, all that type of stuff. And usually, and again, this is where like having a strong agent comes in, on the buy side. And a lot of times us on the listing side, we get to coach those buyers of like, hey man, like that's normal wear and tear. That's home maintenance type of stuff. Like what we're looking for now is major safety and function items. So yeah, if he gets up in the attic and we find black mold that we didn't know about, like that's one thing, but you can't double dip. You can't offer us less because the carpet's beat up and then ask us to replace the carpet.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
No.
Bad. Naughty.
Don't do it. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. So, but that's typically what it looks like. So they ask us to fix, 4 or 5 things. And then depending on what they are, you might agree to fix 2 or 3 or maybe 5, or maybe you're a seller, maybe you're already out. Maybe you don't want to deal with any of it. So then you're saying, hey, instead of doing all those things, how about we knock $1,000 off the price or whatever, accordingly. So once we get past that stage, again, we all sign off on the home inspection contingency removal, and it does just that. ICR removes the home inspection contingency. So now we're kind of just at like the hurry up and wait period. You know what I mean? So you as the seller, like now once we get past that home inspection, like you're free to kind of pack your stuff and find your next place. And then eventually pretty much all that's going to happen from here, the bank is going to send out an appraiser to verify the value of the home. And again, like all of these things go to benefit the buyer. You know what I mean? Like the inspection, appraisal, kind of any little things in there. But say we sell your house for $300,000 and the appraiser comes back and says it's worth $305,000. It's like, well, okay, buyer, well, it looks like you got a good deal on the house, but on
the sellers never find out about the appraised value though.
Yeah.
Right?
I guess,
unless it's low.
Yeah. You only find out in case it's low, but I mean, most of the time, like if you sell for 300, like comes in at 301.
Right. Yeah.
But really, yeah, the seller typically doesn't care. They don't get too worried about it. Like as long as they get what they're hoping for.
Yep.
But what could happen is if the appraisal comes in low, well, then likely the buyer is going to want to renegotiate the price because the lender is only going to lend up to that appraised value. So if it appraised at 290 and we got 300, we got to figure out where that extra 10 grand is going to come from. So that's another negotiating piece.
Yep. So maybe you have to drop the price to 290. Maybe the buyers have to bring $10,000 in cash to the table. Maybe you guys meet in the middle at $5,000 each.
Yep.
Just another time to negotiate. So much negotiating throughout the whole process.
A lot of talking.
Just each item, it's a negotiation.
100%. And that too is like a lot of times when we talk about someone's like, well, I sold my house on my own, or I think I can get it sold, or what. It's like, well, one, are you going to get top dollar for it? Number one. And number two, is it actually going to get to the closing table? Because that's a lot of what we do is like massage and buffer to make sure that at the end of the day it gets closed and the seller gets their money and the buyer gets in their new home and everybody's happy. Nobody sues each other.
Just to be clear, we do not massage our clients.
No.
Just to be
100%.
Perfectly clear.
Clarity is power.
Yes.
No. Don't even.
Unless you want that. Just kidding.
Yeah,
We're both married.
There's no Deshaun Watson. Is that too soon? Is it too soon?
Dude, real estate podcast, not a sports podcast.
Well, we like sports too. All right. So we made it past the underwriting. So now the only other real thing, so basically a buyer is going to get in your house usually 3 times. So they get in when they look at the house to write the offer, they get in at the home inspection, and then they're going to get in one more time for this final walkthrough. So what I always recommend, like we just want to be as upfront and like communicate as clearly as possible. So say, so number one, I always just encourage everybody to like have the house nice and tidy, clean for the new guys coming in. Like, no, it doesn't have to be professionally clean, but like, come on, baby, like
clean it up.
Give the new guy a nice place. Like it was nice when you came in.
Don't be a jerk,
Let's give these guys, let's give these guys a nice place. So one, they just kind of, make sure that the home is like clean and neat and like they're excited to move in. Number two, like if whatever we did agree to get fixed, like if say we were going to get they asked us to have the furnace serviced, like we would send them an invoice prior, you know what I mean? But that way they come in, they make sure that everything gets fixed. Like they've got all the receipts on the countertop. They've got keys. They've got garage door openers. They're ready to go. Should take like 10 minutes. They buzz through quick. Everybody's excited. And then they show up to closing. The buyer has an awful lot of paperwork to sign, but you as the seller, I feel like when I have sellers, it takes like 15 minutes. Sign a handful of things, answer a couple questions, and bada boom.
Mhm.
Then you get your big old check, and then you put it all on Red 18, see what happens.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And another thing too is maybe during this whole process you need to buy a house. So maybe you're doing both of these at once, which
Sounds like part 3. Sounds
no,
like part 3.
that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that's where your agent comes in. That's why we get paid.
Stay tuned for part 3.
Maybe.
But that in a nutshell is what it looks like. And again, like there's a lot of logistics. There's a lot of like, what about this? And I got to do this. And how do I move this? And it can be a very stressful time. And that's our job is like everybody else, you buy and sell a couple homes in your lifetime. Well, this is all we do all day, every day.
And give you massages.
This podcast,
Just until closing
this
day.
podcast stinks.
Okay. No massages.
No massages.
All right. That's fair.
Hands free.
Okay.
COVID. All right. So anyway, but that's what it looks like to sell your house. And then, so from the time you hire a realtor to the time you get a big old check, that's kind of what you can expect. And everybody's situation is a little bit different. That's why we're here. We're here to help, but you got not only one of us agents, but you got everybody on the team. So you got all kinds of resources, all kinds of people here to help you.
Well, not even just us. Like I honestly would like just use an agent. Like,
oh yeah,
a lot of us are great agents, and like not only our team and me and you, but like it can take so much stress off your shoulders. And like we do a lot more than people think. So
100%.
But yeah, that's how to sell your house. Boom.
And you do get your home sold faster with Jaster.
I have no comeback.
Get your
You
home,
get home with Roan.
get your home going with Roan. That's a great time. Great time to just
wrap it up. Here.
Let's wrap her up there.
Okay.
Get home
Thanks for
faster with the
listening.
Jaster group, by the
We'll,
way. That's not just me. That's a whole squad. You know what I mean?
See you next time. Watch for deer.
Shake a buck.